All right, ladies and gentlemen, we know that in this situation right now, many students or children live in a different condition of learning. And in this time, we know that there are two sides of both positive and negative situation about how the students acknowledge their competencies through the educational equality. The question is that have we ever realized about what everyone doesn't have in terms of education? And actually, the answer is about the enormous amount of power and privilege that comes from their own brain capacity. We know that in the status quo or real condition, many students are already burdened for schoolwork or the standard about what they have need to fulfill at the end, right? Because in our country, or mostly in a developing country, the standard of school achievement is mainly about the good score, highest rank, or winning the competition. But I could say if this chart is not really considered the entire of the process because it is only about the result oriented without knowing the process that the student have been through. Let's move to my arguments. The first one about what is the wrong. Yes, absolutely the important thing here because it creates the pressure, the competitive environment. The best side is that the children during the golden age, they will be familiar with the juvenile delinquency, I'm sorry. And the competitive environment featuring the peer interaction will only force them to get to know how only getting a good score as the result. But here, they will not really comprehend or getting the process because they only focus on the result at the end. And I could say if at the earlier age, the competitive environment is not suitable for them because it's not the time for them to compete each other about the result. Because no one can standardize or no one can generalize about the achievement about someone about something that we thought. Because achievement is only like a bonus. It's only a gift like about how the process have been through, about how the effort have been made. And for example, we can say that when the students already study hard, but at the end they get the bad score, what will be happened? Yes, they will be very, very less confident. Why? Because they believe that they have been through everything, every difficulties, and they have been like what? Like try the best that they can. But the result is very wrong, and it will make their confidence being decreased, and absolutely it will hurt for their growth maybe or something that really give a bad impact for the future. So the next explanation about how it comes. Why? Yes, the answer is because the result oriented is very bad. Because the score, even though the score didn't cause the bias about which is criteria that is good, which is criteria that is bad, but the authentic number of the score will influence the students about the washback, the valid washback during the process. Because when they see the best score or the result that in the forms of a thing, they will not really acknowledge or realize the process that they have been through. Right? Do you agree with me? Here, we know that the school score will also create a standard of a grade criteria. And I do believe it becomes a tradition in our country. But in this case, I highly not recommend it because it will affect the tolerant or unfair treatment at school. Because it can make the student bias. For example, when the students in a lower grade or they have the difficulties or face the difficulties, and they get a different or less confident or less competencies compared to other students, it will make another unfair condition because they will be very abundant. Let's say like there is such a class that's on the school competence, like when the students that are smart will be engaged in the same classroom with the students that are also smart, or when the student that is less smart, they will engage and put in the one condition in the classroom that also meet with the same level students that which is not really good or really smart. So it is good? No. Even though the real conditions say that there is no problem because both the students in the lower grade or middle grade are really enjoyed their life at school, at class, but it can really make the unfair condition for educational equality. Why? Because even though they not mock their other friends based on the smartness, they will not really engage with other people that greater than them. And it will be very, very painful for them because they will get a comparison with other students that are greater than them. All right, let's move to the reason where I believe that self-oriented is better than the result-oriented in the terms of educational equality. The first one, the most important thing here, we know that all of the formulas, scientific formulas, mathematical formulas, or language rules, or something else that have been learned at school by the students, it's not really useful enough for their future life. Because when the students only focus on how to know, how to acknowledge the formulas without knowing the every single process that they have been through, they will be very, very useless. Because without engaging in the deeper comprehensions, they will not able to implement any knowledge that they have got for their future life. Because it can be really beneficial enough for them as they are really, really comprehend about what they have learned for the future if they are really acknowledge and realize the process. All right, the last one, why it is better, why the self-oriented is better. Okay, let's look back to the essence of the standard of education that refers to obtain the human competences and as the way to educate about individual potential, right? But in other case, the legacy of culture about the learning processes that focus only on the result-oriented will produce a fixed mindset rather than a growth mindset. So it will be very different if we only focus on result rather than we only focus on the process. Because people with a growth mindset, they will focus on their own effort. They will be very pleasing. They will be very grateful what they have been through because they're very, very like what they're very, very happy as not and not feel terrible about the result at the end. And people with a growth mindset, they identify with um, characteristic that ready to try a new adventurous thing. But in the contrary, people with a fixed mindset, no, they will not be able to take a high risk situation because the people with the fixed mindset, I mean, they will only accustomed with how to get a better result than anybody else, or how they get a good or higher position than anybody else, so they can get the compliment. So let me explain again. So when the people with a fixed mindset, they also accustomed with the result oriented, they will only focus about how to satisfy other people about their achievement. But it is merely about they not really able to take a high risk situation because once they get the compliment for other people, they thought it's very satisfying for them. So, ladies and gentlemen, as the conclusion, I think it is important to have knowledge that the learning process is genuinely crucial because the education takes the most of the time of the students in daily life, and students spend a half or more the time for a right to educational system and for the educational equality. And here, I think the educational process should put the responsibility to precise their own potential, their own capability, expertise, or something else that they have been got, they have been had to like what to really utilize anything for the future. Because I believe that getting an access for educational equality or educational system is such a privilege that not nobody else can do either. So I think that's all for me about the educational equality. Thank you for your attention. I am Monica and goodbye.